Alright, touchdown review. Are y'all ready?
Yes.
Alright, number 1. Solve the system by graphing. Right, to graph anything, what do you have to have by itself? So here's our 2 equations. I'm going to rewrite the first one over here where I have enough room. How do we get y by itself? First step is to subtract x from each side. That's going to leave us with y equals negative x minus 1. Our second equation is y equals 3x minus 17. Alright, we're just going to find which of these graphs represents those 2 equations. So, what am I going to tell you to use?
Calculator.
Put it in there and graph them. We got a y equals negative x minus 1. Move down and graph the exact same, the other line. 3x minus 17. Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to graph it inequality. My bad. Right, looking at our graph and looking at our answer choices, can I eliminate A yet? No, it looks pretty close. How about C? Looks pretty close. B is obviously wrong. D is obviously wrong. Okay. The way you're going to know if it's A or B is, look, what does this go through on C? Origin. What point is the origin?
0, 0.
Okay, well bring up your table. Second table.
I can't see that. Yes.
It's okay.
Does it go through the point 0, 0?
No.
No, so it has to be A. Can y'all not see?
Yeah, I think I'm going blind or something.
Right, number 2, solve the system by substitution. This came right off the quiz. To use substitution, don't we have to isolate a variable in one of the equations? Remember me telling you label your equations 1 and 2? Do I have a variable isolated in either one?
Yes.
Or both isolated, aren't they? So I can substitute this y into the second equation, or I could substitute this y into the first equation. Substitute the second one into the first? Okay. So I'm going to have, I know that y equals 2x, so on the first equation I'm going to have 2x equals x minus 4. From here we're just going to solve for x, so I'm going to do what? Subtract x from each side? What's 2x minus x? X equals x minus x cancels out. We have negative 4. Okay, we know our x. We got that from equation 1, so I'm going to have to substitute this into equation 2. So I'm going to have y equals 2 times negative 4. So y equals negative 8. Number 3. Again, we're still using substitution. Use substitution to solve the linear system. I have to isolate the variable. Equation 1, equation 2. It doesn't matter which equation you use to isolate a variable. Equation 1, it looks like we can isolate the x. Equation 2, we can isolate the y pretty easily. Which one do y'all want to use?
X.
You want to isolate the x? Okay. I have x minus 4y equals 6. How do I isolate the x? What am I going to have to do?
Minus
Add
4y.
We're going to add it because if it's negative on this side and we move it, it's going to be positive. So we're going to add 4y. I'm going to have x equals 4y plus 6. Know what x is, so I'm going to have to plug that into equation 2. I'm going to have 2 times, what is x? 4y plus 6? Plus y equals negative 4. How do we get rid of parentheses? Distribute. 2 times 4y is
8y.
8y plus 2 times 6 is 12. Plus y equals
16.
negative 4. Combine your like terms. 8y plus y. 9y plus 12 equals negative 4. From here we're going to subtract 12 from each side. So I'm going to have 9y equals negative 16. Divide by 9 on each side. Just make sure your fraction's reduced. Leave it as a fraction, just make sure it's reduced. You're going to go negative 16 divided by 9, math, enter, enter. 16. It's reduced. Since y came from equation 2, we're going to plug it in back into equation 1. So I'm going to have x equals 4 times negative 16 over 9 plus 6. So x equals, what is 4 times negative 16 over 9? Remember, keep your fractions inside parentheses.
Negative 64 ninths.
You're going to get a decimal and you're going to go math, enter, enter, and change it back to a fraction. So we get negative 64 ninths plus 6. So negative 64 ninths plus 6 gives us math, enter, enter, negative 10 ninths. Right. Number 4, true or false? The substitution method can be used to solve a system of equations.
True.
True. True. That's what we've been doing the past 2 problems. Right, number 5, solve by elimination. I know, y'all have told me that elimination is y'all's favorite, so what do we have to do?
Subtract.
We gotta make sure our x's and y's are lined up first.
Yeah.
Are they?
You can probably get rid of 5y, right?
There, my x's and y's are lined up. Your y's have the same coefficient, so those are the ones I would eliminate. Am I gonna add or subtract?
Subtract.
You're saying subtract? What's 5 minus negative 5?
Plus.
So we're gonna add. Always check yourself to make sure you're right. 4x plus 3x is 7x. Your y's canceled out. 6 plus 22 is
28.
divide by 7 on each side, so x is 4. Okay, how am I going to find my y?
Plug it in.
Plug in x into either equation. Does it matter which one? No. Which one do y'all want to do?
The first one.
Okay, so 4 times 4 plus 5y equals 6. 16 plus 5y equals 6. Subtract 16 from each side, so 5y equals negative 10. Divide by 5, y equals negative 2. Number 6, solve the system. Y'all want to use elimination again? Are your x's and y's lined up?
Yes.
2 and 2, am I going to add or subtract those?
Subtract.
Just 2 minus 2 doesn't give me 0, so subtract, subtract,
I've done both.
subtract. 3x minus x is
2x.
2x. Y's cancel out. -7 minus -9.
2.
No.
2.
-7 minus -9 does give me 2. Divide by 2 on each side, so x equals. Plug that into either equation. I'd use the bottom one. 1 plus 2y equals -9. Subtract 1 from each side. And 2y equals -10. Divide by 2, y equals -5. Again, use elimination. Are your x's and y's lined up?
No. Yes.
Yeah, they are.
I couldn't find it.
Do you have any variable that has the same coefficient?
No.
No. So what can I do?
Times the bottom one by 2.
Right, because we're going to change this 2 to be a 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got to multiply the entire equation by 2. I'm going to leave the first one as is. Second equation, 2 times 4x is 8x. 2 times 2y is positive 4y. And 2 times 6 is 12. Are your x's and y's still lined up? Am I going to add or subtract these?
Add.
I'm going to add. 3x plus 8x is 11x. Y's canceled out. 21 plus 12 is, divide by 11 on each side, x equals,
3.
now that you know your x. Find your y, you're going to plug it into either original equation. Which one do y'all want to use?
The second one.
Second one? Okay, so I'm going to have 4 times 3 plus 2y equals 6. 12 plus 2y equals 6. Subtract 12. 2y equals -6. Divided by 2. Y equals -3. All right, number 8. Solve the linear system by any method. What are your choices? You can either graph, substitution, or elimination. What do y'all want to do?
Elimination.
Okay. Are your x's and y's lined up?
Yes.
Okay, I could multiply this 2 by what and make it a 6?
3.
3. Okay. So I'm going to leave first equation as is. Second equation is going to become 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times 5y is 15y. And 3 times 1 is 3. Right, am I going to add or subtract to get rid of these 6x?
Subtract.
6x minus 6x cancels out. -4 minus 15. -19y equals -1 minus 3.
-2.
-4. Divide by -19 on each side. Leave it as a fraction, just make sure it's reduced. It's going to reduce to positive 4/19. Now that I know my y, I can plug it into either original equation. Which one do y'all want to plug it into?
Second.
So I'm going to have 2x plus 5 times 4/19 equals 1. So 2x plus, what is 5 times 4/19?
20/19.
3/19. 1. What do I do from here? Subtract 20/19 from each side. Good thing we have a calculator. Just make sure you keep your fractions inside parentheses. What is 1 minus 20/19?
Negative 1/19.
Negative 1/19. So I have 2x equals negative 1/19. What do I do from here?
Divide by 2.
Divide by 2. Now, feature. So x equals negative 1/38. Right, number 9, find the solution of the system if it exists. First, we have to make sure it even exists. How can we do that? That would be yesterday's lesson. You remember? What kind of lines have the same slope?
Parallel.
Parallel. Do parallel lines ever intersect?
No.
So will they ever have a solution?
No.
No. If you get a line and you graph the exact same line on top of it, how many solutions do you have?
Infinitely.
Infinite.
Yeah.
If they only intersect at one point, how many solutions do you have? So basically, don't we need to find the slope of these to determine if there is a solution? Okay. So we need to put these in the form y equals mx plus b so we can identify the slope, do we not? First equation, how do I get y by itself?
Subtract 2x.
We'll subtract 2x from each side. So I have 5y equals negative 2x plus 7. Divided by 5. So y equals negative 2/5 x plus 7/5. I would put a star next to it, that way I don't lose it on my paper. Second equation. How do I get y by itself?
Add 4x.
Add 4x. And now negative 10y equals 4x plus 2. What do I do from here? Divide by negative 10 all the way across. So I'm going to have y equals, leave it as a fraction, make sure it's reduced. 4 divided by negative 10, math enter, enter. Negative 2/5 x plus or minus 1/5. Is it the exact same line?
No.
No. Do we have the same slope?
Yes.
Same slope means they are what?
Parallel.
So is there a solution?
No.
No solution.
I'm gonna figure out that means, so I need to write no solution.
Number 10, graph the system and describe its solution. So I want you to graph those two lines and then tell me what the solution is. Y'all ready? To graph anything, what do you have to get by itself?
Y.
4x minus 5y equals negative 2. How do I get y by itself? Subtract 4x. I'm going to have negative 5y equals negative 4x minus 2. Divide by negative 5 all the way across. So y equals 4/5 x plus 2/5. There's one equation. Now let's find the other. So I'm going to what? Subtract 16x from each side? Negative 20y equals negative 16x plus 5. Divided by negative 20 all the way across. Going to get y equals, leave them as a fraction, make sure they're reduced. I sound like a broken record every time I say that. y equals 4/5 x minus what? 1/4? How are you going to find its solution?
Graph it and see where it intersects that.
Graph and see where it intersects. You're right. Oh, y'all do it.
They're parallel
How do you know?
because they are the same slope.
Did you even have to graph it to see that?
No.
If they're parallel, are they ever going to intersect?
No.
I was waiting till somebody caught that.
What?
I was waiting till one of y'all caught
I
that.
said it. I was like, but they have the same slope. You were like, graph it, so I was like, okay. I didn't want to be wrong.
Which leads us into question number 11. It's kind of what we just did. Does the system of equations have no solution, one solution, or many solutions? Explain how you can tell without graphing.
Look at its slope.
Look at the slope. Look at the slope. In order to find the slope, what form do you have to get it in?
Y equals mx plus b.
Very good. Okay, so let's do that. First equation, they already have it as y by itself. Put a star beside it. Second equation. What am I going to do? Divide by 6? So y equals 1/2 x or 7/6. Whoa. Do they have the same slope? No, this line has a slope of 1. This one has a slope of 1/2. So are they parallel? No. So they're either going to have 1 or infinite. Are they the exact same line?
No.
So they're not infinite, are they?
No.
Therefore, it's only going to have one solution. And then if you wanted to check your answer, you could graph both of them and you could see that it does intersect at one point. Did I show y'all how to graph inequalities on your calculator?
I think so.
Yeah, you did. Wait.
Like a while back, you move it over to where it
You're right.
links.
Okay.
That thing.
It wants us to solve the system of inequalities, so we want to graph them, okay? So we're going to go to y equals. Clear out whatever you might have in there. Okay, just as a reminder, to graph an inequality, you see we're going to move our arrow over. Okay, first equation is less than. Less than means downwards, don't it? So we're going to keep hitting enter till our inequality symbol is going downwards.
Okay, Mom. I'm just gonna put this on the bar and I'm okay. Thank you.
Y'all with me? Then we're going to move over and we're just going to put in 2x minus 1. And then down and put in the other one. You got to move it over till that's flashing downwards. And then we're just going to put in -3 and graph.
Thanks.
Okay, where does it share a shaded region? Isn't it just right in here?
Uh-huh.
So you know it's not going to be A.
It'd be B. It's the only one that'll
It's
work.
not going to be C because that's at the top. Not going to be D because that's on the top on the other side. So that's going to leave us with B. Right, here they've already graphed it for us. They just want us to come up with the inequality. And it's a little hard on this graph. It is for my eyes anyway because my eyes start going cross-eyed. But this line right here, I know I'm going to have Y. Is it
Up to
solid or
level.
dashed?
So,
And it is shaded below, so it's going to be less than or equal to. Okay, well, any line we have to get in slope-intercept form. What two things do we have to know?
Slope and y-intercept.
Slope and y-intercept. So can you tell where this line intersects the y-axis?
3. Positive 3.
Never mind.
I think 3's up here. I think it's 2. Okay. I'm going to put a point there. Then I'm going to find another point on this line, and I'm going to count the slope. Here's
Wouldn't
another
it be
point.
up 2 over 1?
Can you? Can you go up 2 over 1?
I just went off the one on the line.
Okay. Up 2 over 1 is right. That's your slope. So your inequality is going to be 2x plus 2. Second line, is it solid or dashed?
Solid.
And it is shaded above. So you're going to have y is greater than or equal to. Again, we need to find slope and y-intercept. This one looks like it intersects the y-axis at
3.5.
Negative
Okay.
7.
Negative 7?
Sorry.
Anybody know what the slope is?
Up 2
No, it's
over 1.
positive. Up 2 over 1, does that work?
Uh-huh.
Up 2 over 1. Okay, so there's your slope.
They're parallel, so there is no solution.
Ouch.
Just saying.
You can just see that off the graph.
There you go. You found the two inequalities, but you're right, they're parallel, there's no solution.
You didn't know for sure. They could have just barely been slanted.
They're the same slope.